Leica is synonymous with expensive cameras. I'm specifically going to take a look at the M system. I don't really know much at all about Leica, but today's the day to learn a few things. There's the M system, which is what I'm going to look at, but there's also the L system, which is a alliance of different companies now. So that's more of the normal mount available for Leica stuff. This is the rangefinder. It was started in 1954 with the M3. It seems like everything is pretty much compatible. Obviously, you can go into film cameras, but I'm going to be focusing on digital cameras, and the lenses will be most likely interchangeable, but there could be quirks. I don't know like any specific issues that might be with one lens or one camera or anything like that. You'll have to research that on your own. One interesting note is that there is at least one third-party camera available in digital format, the Epson RD1 and its successors. You could at least check that out and see if it's available. It's probably going to be hard to find at this point. I don't think they make these anymore. Starting off with new Leica M-mount cameras. The cheapest thing available is $9,000 USD. So if you want to get into Leica new, you want that clean, ready to go rangefinder digital camera, you're going to be spending $9,000 plus. So on Adorama, that's the cheapest thing. It's the M11. The M11 monochrome is a little bit more expensive. This is the one Leica camera that interested me, the original M monochrome. Basically, it's black and white. You don't have the option for color. At the time, it was very unique. Not so much anymore. Pentax has a monochrome camera. There might be other companies as well. I'm not sure. It is cool. It was nice that they pushed the boundaries at the time, and now they have a 60 megapixel version of that camera available for $9,200. We go to B&H just to make sure that it's the same. They have an M10R. I don't know what the difference is here. You'll have to research that on your own, but basically the same price. So you could potentially get what you want around $9,000. We scroll down, they also have the monochrome version. What's going to be more interesting is used Leica cameras. Here we have the MP Type 240. Obviously, older cameras might not have all the features, the functionality that you could potentially want. But, I mean, they've been used in the past. They're probably going to be just fine. Might be a little quirky in some aspect compared to new stuff that's been revised and improved on. We jump down to $3,500. In this case, Condition E. Let's see what that means. Condition E is pretty decent. Adorama specifically, I don't think their warranty is as good as, say, B&H or KEH or maybe MPB, which we'll look at towards the end of this video. At the very least, we have dropped down quite a bit in price for the camera body. Here's the M monochrome, the one that I personally had a pretty big interest in. Still $3,800 used. Condition E minus, which is pretty decent. Let's take a look at B&H real quick, see what their used options are. Basically the same price, $3,200. This is the M monochrome, so you could check them out as well. Potentially get a slightly better warranty, but you look at the condition here, this is actually pretty bad, well used condition. So you could save a little bit of money, but you might get a camera that isn't amazing. Just be sure you know what you're getting into. All right, now to KEH. Potentially better options here. Older cameras, but you'll save quite a bit of money. They have the Leica M8.2, older sensor technology, so low light performance, things like that to consider. But I would assume Leica cameras are built to last, so it's probably decent-ish. You just have to work within older technology. That drops us down to $2,320, and then you'll probably have to pay shipping and tax and all that. But it's a Leica and it's a rangefinder. Be able to experience your Leica hopes and dreams with M8.2 for $2,320 and 4 cents specifically. And it's EX, which is pretty good rating on there with the battery and charger. What else do we have? We have the M9, so a step up in generation. It actually looks a little cooler in my opinion with the silver accents than the straight black one. And here's the M monochrome. So we have a bargain one for $2,750. Bargain, in my experience on KEH, can be decent, but it probably will be a little rough looking. So you could consider that or jump up in price quite a bit to get an EX version if you want the black and white Leica experience in digital. Obviously, there's going to be film cameras as well you can check out. I'm just not into film personally. The nice thing about the M monochrome is that there isn't like very visible branding, although of course the shape is very Leica-esque, but I'm not a big fan of the red dot. So we at the very least have options. It looks like $3,000 could get you something to start off, maybe $5,000 if you want something newer. So we're getting into the M10. Price is jumping up quite a bit. Then we go to lenses. This is a little more interesting. These are new lenses on Adorama at the moment. Third parties are all over this. Lomography, $250. Obviously, optical quality compared to a Leica lens is probably not going to be close, but you could save quite a bit of money and have some fun with your Leica camera by buying these third-party lenses. f2.8, 32mm. Obviously, all this stuff is manual focus with their rangefinders. So you got 11mm f2.8. That's pretty wide fish angle. 369 TT Artisans. Pretty cool. Jump up here. 51.4. Prices here are definitely within the range of reasonable. That'll really depend on what you get. 12 to 24, 5.6. Interesting. $700. So at the very least, you're going to have some new lens options and third parties that you can check out. Here's a 7 Artisans Photoelectric 35 5.6. Interesting combination of aperture and focal length here for the Leica M for $100. That'd be fun to mess around with. Put on your $9,000 camera, $100 lens, but it's very compact, it's very thin. You could actually take this and adapt it to a different mount system, like a Nikon Z mount, most likely. That could be fun to mess with. Let's keep going down the line here. It's a 7 Artisans, 28 5.6 for $200. So at the very least, we've got some pretty cool options. Mitacon, 28 5.6. This one's got the classic look to it. TT Artisan 28 5.6, the little focus nub. Voltlander, this is a well-known company, probably a little bit more expensive than these other ones, but you could potentially get nicer optical quality and not have to go full Leica in that case. Here's a Kipon bright red, 75 2.4. That's pretty cool looking. Venus Optics Lawa, another Voltlander. Actually a lot of options on B&H for new in-mount lenses. Here's a Meyer Optic. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but another brand here. Here's another interesting option. We've got Zeiss now, so you could expect higher optical quality, most likely. 50 f2 for $1,000. If you don't want to go full Leica, Zeiss might be an interesting option for you and save some money, quite a bit of money probably. Someday we'll probably hit some Leica lenses, I assume, but not yet. Here we go. So here's the first Leica lens I've found on B&H. So it's the M28 2.8 for around $2,800. $3,000 is actually less than I was expecting for the first Leica lens. So you're going to be spending at the very least to get one Leica camera used, and this new Leica lens would be over $5,000. And if you get a new Leica camera with the new Leica lens, you're going to be spending $9,000 plus $2,800. And we jump up a little bit in price. You can get a 50 f2, pretty cool. Just another Leica 28 5.6, 3,100. 21mm, 35, pretty standard focal lengths. Walk around lens 35 f2, be decently wide on a full frame sensor. So if you're doing street photography, get a 35 maybe, going up to $7,800 for a 28 1.4. The most expensive lens on B&H new in Leica is 75 f 1.25, which is pretty fast, for $14,395. All right, now used lenses on Adorama in the M mount. Got some pretty cheap stuff, $36 for a Hector. So this has severe haze, sold as is parts. So definitely make sure it is usable. So you could scroll down and avoid those ones. Looks like the cheapest thing that's functional is whatever this Voltlander 50 3.5 is, $407. Looks kind of cool. Another Voltlander. Here's a Lights Leica Summicron 90 f2 for $674. Let's see if they have any actual Leica stuff. Here's a used Leica 90 f2.8 condition V, which is not amazing, but it should be functional. So definitely a lot cheaper. Voltlander, another Leica. So these longer focal lengths are probably less appealing on a rangefinder camera because your viewfinder is separate from the optical path. So you don't actually see through the lens itself. You're going to be seeing through the viewfinder, and using a long lens like that probably is not ideal. I've never used those, but I'm just assuming that is the case. So I think something around 35 is going to be the ideal focal length for standard stuff that makes the most sense with a rangefinder. That's probably why there's a lot of longer stuff here. And we jump to B&H used options, TT Artisan, more third-party options. Let's see if they have any actual Leica used lenses. Nope, just Voltlander and TT Artisan. We've got KEH rangefinder lenses. Cheapest thing, $43 for a pinhole lens for the in-mount. If you want a used rising pinhole wide lens for Leica M mount, currently $43 EX Plus. So, I mean, if you got a used Leica in this rising pinhole, you could spend under $3,000 to get your Leica dreams to come true at the cheapest price possible. Probably eBay is a potential option for cameras as well, but obviously you're not going to have a warranty. 90mm 135, 7 Arsons 35 5.6 for $129. So if you do want a third-party option, they could be on here. You could check them out for cheaper than the new one. But it looks like all the Leica stuff on the cheaper end is going to be a telephoto lens. There's a 135-90 Lomo Minolta. I had no idea Minolta made in-mount lenses. So there's a 52.8 Elmar collapsible in-mount lens for $300 to $700. And the last one, MPB. So I think they're both in Europe and United States. In this, you could see quite a few options here. So I have a mix of cameras and lenses. $2,100. You get a good rated M8 from this company at the moment. And this should be the actual camera you're getting. So, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's a little scuffed. Presumably decently functional. This was quite the look into Leica M. I've never bothered looking at their stuff before. It is interesting. It's just not anything I'm personally very into. But I think you can get a reasonable kit under $5,000 if you try to go used options, go third party for lenses. That was a look at Leica M. Hope you enjoyed the video. Scott Photography Bonsai. Thanks.